Hello and welcome to Becoming Abundant podcast. I am your host, Anna Maria Jinga, and this is our side of the internet where we get to speak about true abundance, personal authority, emotional optimization, and the pure power of alignment, all while living in the presence and guidance of God Himself. I am a holistic coach and mentor focusing on healing the emotions keeping you stuck so that the mind and body can align and live a limitless life. We all have a mission and a purpose, and I am here to help you unchain from what's been holding you back to actually live in your full potential. Think of it as transformative triggering in the best possible way. The time has come to live a life you love. Let's dive in. Hello, my darlings, and welcome to this week's episode of Becoming Abundant podcast. I am your host, Anna Maria Jinga, and it's December. Can you believe how quickly the past 4 months have passed? It's wild. It just bewilders me. And we're in December. So for this month, I actually have a few themes in mind for our podcast. And we're going to start off with the first episode of this four-part series that I have in my mind. It is Be Salty and Bright. I had a few of you guys asking me, why do I keep closing the call, Be Salty and Bright? Why do I sign all of my articles with Be Salty and Bright? And we'll get into that today. But before we dive into this, I actually want to make a quick announcement that on my socials, just on my socials, actually, on Instagram, on Facebook, on a few of my groups that I'm part of, I have announced that the third episode of this month is going to be fully dedicated towards talking about miracles. So this is also my invitation to you guys, to all of my amazing listeners here, to dive into this whole process of discovering the miracle that has happened to you. What do I mean about that? On the third episode of this month, which is going to be 16, 17, 18, number 18, fabulous 18, we're going to be talking about miracles. And maybe because it's December and I'm such a geek on celebrating a full month of giving and miracles, I am absolutely in love with celebrating the birth of Christ. I am absolutely excited for the magic that comes alive during this holiday season. So, the third episode of this month will be dedicated to miracles. And by miracles, I mean those moments in life, those experiences, those wow things that are happening in your life that you think only God could have done this for me. Those are the miracles I'm looking for. So, what I want from you is send me a text, send me an email, send me a recording, send me a quick comment on any of the posts that I make about this on my socials, and let me know what is that one miracle that stuck with you. Maybe you have more. Please do share more. But let's go with at least one miracle that stuck with you, that made you think, oh my God, this is just God's. I couldn't have been here, done that, this experience without God. Share them with me because in our third episode of this month, I'm actually going to share all the stories. Even if it takes me 3 hours, I will share all of the stories. I'll share some of my stories as well, but I want to give space for our community as you guys freaking rock. I have here friends, I have here strangers, I have here acquaintances, I have here clients, former clients, current clients, maybe future clients that are from all over this world. And I want to invite you to have the space to share your own story and your own miracle. And when you do send that to me, give me the permission to share the magic that you experienced. Because the more we hear about miracles and powerful experiences, the more our heart gets freed, our mind gets anchored into faith and hope and belief that it can happen to us as well. So that is my invitation for this beautiful month of December to, if you don't have a miracle even, maybe you can be the miracle for someone else. And then you can share it with me because I would love to share it with others everywhere in this magical world that we live in, because this podcast is reaching so many people worldwide. I have people from Australia, I have people from Singapore, from Romania, from everywhere, from US, from Canada, from Mexico, from down south in Southern America. I am in awe of the fact that you guys are everywhere and you're tuning in to my podcast every week. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You totally rock. So, that being said, let's dive into today's topic, which is, why do I keep saying be salty and bright? I actually came up with it. One of my favorite verses in the Bible is from the Sermon on the Mount, where Matthew tells a story about Jesus saying all the blessings and all the commandments, all the things that God is expecting of us, and how we get to be more of God's children. And one of the things, two of the things that he says is, you are the salt of the earth and you are the light of the earth. And that's how, very short, it turned into be salty and bright. But what does that actually mean? Let's dive into it for a moment. When you think of salt, we have a really fun story in Romania about, it's called, for all my Romanian friends, it's called Sarea în bucate. You probably know it. So, as a clear, direct translation of what I just said, the story is called Salt in Baking. And the story goes something in the lines of, there were three uh, daughters of an emperor, and the emperor was asking them to cook something for him, bake something for me. And one of the first ones, the eldest, made something with sugar. She baked with so much sugar, and then she brought this magnificent dish to her father, and he said, "Oh my God, this is horrible. This tastes too sweet. This is too yucky. What's going on? I don't know. I put sugar because I wanted you to feel all the love I have in my heart for you, and it's sweet as sugar." And he banished her. "Go away. You do not know how to take care of me." Second daughter came, middle daughter. She made this gorgeous honey cake with lots decadent honey, powerful flavors of honey and spices and all of the things. The emperor took a bite. "This is sweet too. Are you trying to poison me? What is going on?" "But my father, I wanted to show to you that I love you as much as honey, the decadent, powerful honey. Why don't you see the love that I put in this dish right now?" He banished her too. The youngest daughter comes, and she made a dish with all the spices, all the sweets, and salt. And she said, "I love you as salt in baking." And he's like, "No, how are you telling me that you love me as salt in baking? What is this maddening thought?" He wanted to banish her, but then he took a bite out of the baking and he said, "This is the most delicious thing I have ever tasted. This is powerful. The flavors are great. It's not too sweet. It's just right." So, what's the lesson in that story? What does salt do in baking? Why do we need to put salt in crepes when we have sugar and it's a dessert? Why do we need to sprinkle salt in any kind of dessert, any kind of sweet flavoring? Because salt enhances the flavor. That's one benefit of salt. Salt enhances the flavor. What is the second benefit of salt? When I was a younger girl, when I was a child, let me go there. When I was a child, My grandfather told me, if you want to clean a wound, you need to rub a bit of salt. Yes, it hurts, but salt clears out all of the bacteria in it. So salt is a healing agent as well. And my recollection of salt in the wound is, oh my goodness, it's gonna hurt. But no, salt actually in the wound can heal it, can clear out all of the debris that you have in a wound for the wound to properly heal. So that's two. Now, the third thing about salt is when I was a young girl, all my history and learnings have happened when I was in Romania. A lot of them, most of them. Because I used to live in Romania until I was 27 when I moved to Canada. And all the things I've learned in Romania actually were very holistic. Not all, a large majority of them. Because my grandparents were, from my mother's side, were farmers. From my father's side were crafters. So both sides were people that worked with their hands and understood how the earth worked, how elements work, how plants work, all of those things. Whenever I was going to my grandparents on my mom's side, we used to have meat out of a jar, and we would just take it out of the jar. Meat was there preserved with fat. It was cooked, but it was preserved with animal fat and salt, lots of salt. And I couldn't understand at that age, at my fabulous age of, I don't know, 7, 10, something like that, why the meat had to be so salty. And then I went to my grandmother as always. Why do we do this? My favorite question since I was a child. Why do we do this? Why is this happening? Why is my favorite question? And she told me, because salt actually preserves the meat. It doesn't go bad. They can have it throughout winter, through the whole Romanian winter, which is like 4 or 5 months. And they can eat meat freshly cooked for the whole 4 or 5 months without it going bad, without it needing to be in a fridge or anything like that. So, what do we know about salt? Salt preserves, salt heals, and salt enhances. 3 things. So, that's the part of I wish for you to be salty. I wish for you to be salty to such a degree that nothing will get in the way of your truth being spoken. And not just your truth, but God's truth through you. What does that even mean? Put filters in what we want to share, in what we want to communicate. We tend to not see clearly. You know that story of whenever you're in love, you have rose-colored glasses on. It is true that you see life differently. But sometimes those rose-colored glasses will make you not see the red flags, will make you say, it's okay. I'll get past that. That's not gonna bother me in the future. It's gonna be totally fine. When in fact, it is not. So whenever we speak just our truth, we tend to have the filters on. But whenever we get to speak God's truth, the ultimate truth, the truth that will set us free, that is when we're more aligned to what actually matters. It's not our truth through our own hurtful filters or victim filters or type A filters or controlling filters, nothing like that. It's just truth. The color white is white, no matter how many lights you put on it, it's just white. The air you breathe is oxygen. The water you drink, it's H2O. That is a known truth. The fact that without oxygen you will not be able to stand here. The fact that without gravity you're going to be floating in midair and you wouldn't be able to have the life you live. Those are truths. Yes, you can say it's science. I say it's a reality God created for us. We're both right. We just choose a different filter. So, what is the real truth? That it is what it is. The oxygen is there. The plants create oxygen and absorb everything we are pushing out. The color white is white, and so on. So, circling back to salt, salty, being salty. I'm not telling you to be salty, to be so sassy that you do not respect one another, but be salty with your truth. Be salty with how you show up for others. Be salty to the point where you are the leader of your life. You're no longer playing small because honestly, God didn't make you small. He put all of those dreams in your heart. He gave you so many abilities and skills, so many passions and affinities for you to explore and stretch yourself to see how much you get to do. So when I say stay salty, it's basically me reminding you that you get to preserve and enhance who who you are meant to be, and also be salty to yourself so that you heal from whatever is holding you back. So that's one. Now, the second part is be bright because we get to be the light. And whenever we think about the light that we share in the world, how quickly do we get to dim it when we think, I don't want to bother anyone? I don't want to say that because maybe it's going to bother someone. I don't want to say no when I should be saying yes. I should be saying yes to being available whenever people need me. Because if I don't say yes, then maybe they're not going to invite me next time and I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life. But then I'm going to go against my boundary of actually taking care of myself and having a restful night. No, but I can handle this and still say yes to them and not say no to them, but say no to me. We're dimming our light. Whenever we are in a space where we know a certain truth, maybe a truth about someone else, that you see them, that you see their potential, and choose to not tell them, hey, you're doing this against your true, better judgment, and you're getting in your way of actually making a really cool thing out of your life. If you don't say that because you don't want to bother them, because, oh, I shouldn't be rude, telling someone a truth is you being in your light. So whenever you don't tell someone your truth, the truth, you're dimming your light. Whenever you sacrifice yourself constantly for others without putting you first, without filling your cup, without having space to breathe, to sit with God, to meditate, to work out, to feed yourself, to love yourself, to tell yourself in the mirror, girl, boy, dude, honey, you got this. You have made it so far. You are your best friend. The moment you do not put yourself first and you are not your own best friend, you're dimming your light. So, whenever you're dimming your light, what does that mean to the world? I was reading a piece from the Bible. I know I'm going back to the Bible a lot because I've been deep in the research of understanding God's truth. And it's been such a powerful experience. So I was reading the Bible the other day, and I even mentioned this in my stories on Instagram. In one of the mentoring groups I'm part of, I was talking to a new friend I made there that was having a similar experience coming back to Christ as I did. And she was mentioning how God tells us to not test him except for one thing, which is test me in your finances. So let me find that exact verse because the moment you hear it, you're going to understand what I mean. It is from Malachi. You guys know the Bible. The Malachi chapter is right the last chapter in the Old Testament, right before Jesus was born. So in Malachi 3, chapter 3 of the Malachi, the book of Malachi, we have here, bring the whole thigh, thigh, thigh. I always make a weird sound when I say this. Anyway, bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, so that there may be food in my house, and test me now in this, says the Lord of hosts. If I will not open for you the windows of heaven and pour out for you a blessing until it overflows. That in itself is like, wow. So it's the only place where God asks us to test Him. Give me what you're working on and what you're receiving so that I may multiply it to you. But the thing about the light, the connection with how we need to be the light, is a verse before that. And as I was reading this the other day, right after I spoke with this new friend of mine, I was like, okay, but where did it start from? And it started from, will a man rob God? Yet you are robbing me. But you say, how have we robbed you? In tithes and offerings. Tithe. You are cursed with a curse, for you are robbing me, the whole nation, of you. Let's say that one more time together. You are robbing me, the whole nation, of you. So whenever we dim our light and not show up fully as ourselves, whenever we're in this space of being meek and obedient to others outside of God, God asks us to be meek and obedient to Him. And by meek and obedient means be humble. Don't be in your ego when you come to me. Same as you wouldn't be in your ego when you're coming to your Father. If you have a good relationship with Him, you would be respectful. You would be reserved. You would be glad. You would be happy. You would be loving towards your Father. So when He says, you are robbing me, you are robbing a whole nation of you, you are dimming your light. You're acting like it's meant for you to be meek and obedient to other people when they are your brothers and sisters, but not to God. So you're expecting life to happen for you and in your favor. When you are dimming down your light, your brightness, to like 10%. So what does being salty and bright mean? The brightness that I'm talking about is you honoring your light, you honoring who you really are at your core, who you are meant to be at your core. You're honoring the fact that you're respecting yourself as a creature of God. You're respecting yourself to honor your life, your body, your mind, your emotions, your heart, your presence, and leading and showing up in your life from that space, because then everything else will come. And when God says here, bring the whole tithe to the storehouse, so that there may be food in my house, and test me now in this, He's telling you, bring what you have to offer to others, and then I will multiply it for you and fill you with more than you need, because you showed up with your light and your strength and all that you carry within you. Yes, that is also finances, because if we do not take care of one another, how are we going to make life happen? That's why we're Christians. So being the light, being bright, being in your truth and in your honorable state is what I pray over you. Every time I close an article or a podcast, I pray over you to stay salty and bright, to amplify who you really are, without the filters, without the lack, without the reservedness, nothing. Who you really are. The beautiful, the powerful, the honorable, the strong, the brilliant, the resourceful, the brave, the focused, the loving, the kind, the one that you are at your core. And besides that, we're amplifying, we're preserving who you really are by honoring and respecting who God made you. And then we hype up the light from 10% to 100%. And we live in that saltiness and brightness, and we choose it every day. We wake up in the morning and we pray to our God, God, please teach me how to be salty and bright. Teach me how to be the salt, how to be the light that you need me to be. How would you show up when you are preserving who you are, honoring who you are, healing who you are, and cranking up that light to 100%? No, it doesn't matter if you blind others. Those who are ready for your light will put some sunglasses on and get accustomed to the new shining, beaming light that you are. As if we constantly dim ourselves to not bother others, I can tell you now, it's okay to blind some of these people because demons hate light. So be the light. So be the light so the red flags do not appear around you all the time. Be the light so that your body heals completely. Be the light so that others who need to see in the darkness see because of you. Be the light and the salt so that you preserve what is really true and heal all those filters that have held you back. And I'm really curious how this will land with you. So please let me know in an email, in a text message, record yourself screaming at the top of your lungs, I'm salty and bright. I would love to see that. Tag me in it if you do that. The thing is, let's make this our community tagline. Be salty and bright. How would it be to start saluting ourselves everywhere we go? Thank you. I love you. Have a great day. Be salty and bright. Be salty and bright. How would your life feel like, look like, sound like, taste like, smell like, be like when you are in your true saltiness and in your true light? How would you show up when you are that? When you are that person, when you are that being that is preserving, that is healing, that is enhancing? How would your relationships be when you are more salty? When you tell the truth without feeling like you need to walk on eggshells. And when you tell the truth, that will feel like, hey, I need to tell you this without sounding like you need to put someone down. Because salt doesn't need to be thrown in people's eyes, but it can be put gently on a wound to heal it. It might hurt at the beginning, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to heal. So, my loves, I'll leave you with this question for this week. What does it feel like for you when you do choose to be salty and bright? Let me know. Send me emails at info@becomingabundant.net or send me even comments or messages on Instagram, Facebook. My handle is I am becoming abundant, and I'm really excited to grow this community even more because we get to be salty and bright together. And we are so much more powerful when we are a true abundant community of like-minded individuals who just want to be salty, bright, happy, joyful, resourceful, healing, powerful, brave, kind, loving, grounded, faithful together. So, my loves, I'll leave you with that. I'm really excited to read all of your comments, all of your emails, all of your messages. And remember that also between now and the end, right before Christmas, I will be collecting your miracles as well. So please make sure you submit those because I want to grow faith and hope in people in this December. So I will tag probably a few of my comments, a few of my posts in the description box so you guys have an easier access to them as well. If you haven't already, please sign up on my newsletter as well, because I keep sharing there all sorts of ways to grow, to heal. I'm prepping some fun new activities as well in December and January moving forward as your coach and mentor. So if you want to work with me or know someone who needs me in their lives, please reach out. And oh, one last thing, I totally forgot about this. In December, I have an offering, a beautiful, amazing offering, actually, two offerings on how to work with me for free. The first offering is when you purchase in December the Truth Left Unspoken workbook from me, you get to send that my way as a photo with the purchase invoice, whatever that looks like, to confirm that is yours. And you get to experience 30 minutes of coaching session with me for free, just because you got that. And another fun perk of December is that if you or someone you know wants to be in a free day mastermind space with me, I'm opening up my Telegram with one-on-one coaching and mentoring, text messages, unlimited for 3 days from when you start. So make sure you check in the description box the link to the form that you can fill out as well, because you get to experience more of the fun, the freedom, and the faith that I get to bring in my mentoring and my coaching together. So, my loves, those are two ways of working with me during this giving season. I want to gift you these opportunities, and I'm very excited for you to take advantage of them. So, please make sure you check them out. You share them with anyone that might need them. And in the meantime, my darlings, I wish you a fabulous week ahead. I know lots of you guys are prepping for all sorts of trips, so stay safe, stay fun, stay excited, and make sure you remember what is most important, which is to stay salty and bright. I love you. I'll talk to you next week. And until then, take care. Bye.